check our answer in a calculator, but before we do that, let's look at calculating one more. Find the first four terms. Let's find the first four terms of this sequence. We start out with n equaling 1. Now in the formula, where are we going to plug in n equal 1? There's no n, so we would just get 3. There's no n equaling 1 to plug in. If n equals 2, same thing. There's no n to plug in a 2, so we're just going to get 3. n equaling 3, we're going to get 3. n equaling 4, we're going to get 3. Since there's no n to plug in, this is just going to be a sequence of 3's. Okay, how does that look on our calculator? Okay, so in our calculator, we have a sequence command. The sequence command can be used to generate some of these terms for us. Let's look at how this works in an example. Okay, so if we look at, let's see, we want to go into the, okay, so we're going to go into the second list menu, second list, under operations. Let's see if we could find the sequence command. The formula comes first. The variable that we're using in the formula comes next. And then we want to say, okay, what terms do you want? Where do you want to start and where do you want to stop? Okay, so from the home screen, we're going to go second list. We're going to go over to operations, and under operations you can see sequence, which is option number 5. You can either down arrow or you can directly hit the 5, and then that would take you to that sequence command. Okay, so the formula goes here. Okay, so our formula is -1 raised to the n power. Here's our variable x, t, theta, and there's also an n. Okay, so -1 to the x is the same as -1 to the n. And I'm going to back up and put the whole thing in parentheses, just like it's given to us in the formula. -1/3 to the x power. Okay, so x is the variable. If I want the first 4 terms, I'm going to start at a 1. I'm going to stop at a 4. If I want to go like 2, 4, 6, 8, that's where I can put in a step, but we're not doing that here, so then I just hit paste. Now in the 83 model, here's what it would look like, where you get to that sequence command, and then you're just going to have to remember, type the formula, type the variable, type the start, type the stop. And so you won't maybe not have that menu to enter in the different things, so you have to remember the order of how it goes. Okay, so now this one, when we did by hand, did come out with a lot of fraction. I think we ended up with 1/81. So we can say answer in fraction. And there's our terms. If we go back, oops, one too many. If we go look at our work that we did by hand, notice that that's the same thing that we got here, which is pretty cool. Okay, we wanted the 100th term, so I'm going to hit second and enter. Remember, second and enter brings up previous lines, and you can go back many lines. Let's say we don't want the first, second, third, and fourth terms. Let's say we want the 100th term. So we're just going to say start at 100, stop at 100, and that would be the 100th term. And then we'll say math fraction. And again, here this was just too large. 3 to the 100th power was just too large for this to calculate. Okay, let's try one more calculator example. We have a second list. Second list. Operations. Sequence command. Okay, so our new expression, let's look at this one here. We have x squared minus 1. The variable is x. We're going to start at 1. We're going to stop at 4. Step size is defaulted 1, 2, 3, 4. But if I put a 5, you can do 5, 10, 15, 20. Okay, you might want to explore with that. We go down to paste. We hit enter. And there's our first 4 terms. 0, 3, 8, 15. Second enter. If I want that 100th term, I'm just going to start at 100, stop at 100, and there's our 100th term.